Today we're going to improve your hand synchronization and alternate picking chops with this neoclassical style etude. Well, hey there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Anybody who's been watching my channel for a while knows that I prefer learning or creating etudes to work on techniques rather than working on boring old exercises. And the one I've come up with for you guys today is sort of a neoclassical thing in the vein of maybe Richie Blackmore or Yin Yang Milkshake. And it's really going to help you get your hands synchronized and those alternate picking chops burning fast. Get this thing down and I guarantee that every dude in your town who owns a pair of leather pants and a pirate shirt will know your name. As always, this video is brought to you guys by everybody who supports my channel over on my Patreon page at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Sign up today, even for just $1 a month, you're going to get access to a ton of backing tracks, bonus lessons, and so much more. This week, everybody who supports my channel is going to get tabs for this lesson as well as some practice tracks that I made to go along with it. I'm going to upload those at a variety of different tempos to help you get it up to speed, as well as put up the MIDI tracks, that way you can build your own perfect practice session at home. All available on patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Gear-wise for today's video, I'm playing my lovely Suhr modern Satin here, and I've got this plugged into a new amp that just landed over here on my doorstep. This is the Cat Lynx, which is their newest high-gain 50-watt head. It's got 2 channels, more gain than you can shake a whammy bar at, and one of my favorite features is this built-in noise gate. I am lazy as hell when it comes to getting a noise gate and setting it up in the effects loop of an amp whenever I'm using it here in the studio, but with this I can plug straight into the front and get to recording or practicing or whatever, and it's going to be dead quiet because of that built-in gate. It's pretty awesome. I've got this running into the Suhr RL IR box with a little bit of stereo delay in Logic. Yeah, let's hear your new favorite warm-up again at stepdad speed. It's more than just the puffy shirts and donuts that give stuff like this that Bach rock kind of sound. So let's check out the chord progression going on behind this etude, that way we can better understand what's going on. This etude is in the key of E minor and it's in 2 different sections. The first section starts off on E minor to a B7. That B7 goes back to E minor. We're going to drop down to A minor, E minor, B7, B7, which resolves us back to E minor. A dominant chord like our B7 here is always going to want to resolve to a chord a fourth away. B, C, D, E. So that transition from B7 to E minor sounds great. The second section starts off on the 4 chord, A minor, E minor, B7, which is again going to resolve a fourth away to E minor. After this we have A minor, E minor, and then here's where the twist is. F sharp 7 to B7. Okay, that F sharp 7 does not even remotely fit in key. It's got a C sharp note in it, it's got an A sharp note in there. Lots of stuff going on that doesn't fit in the key of E minor. But you can get away with that if it's resolving a fourth away. Again, F sharp, G, A, B. There's that fourth kind of fall that we talked about a second ago. And then that B7 resolves to E minor again whenever we go back to the first section. Pretty cool stuff. That kind of 2 dominant in a minor key is common all over the works of Bach and stuff, but it's also been adapted by like Danny Elfman and a lot of other modern composers. Once you know the sound of that 2 dominant in a minor key, you can hear it a mile away. Really cool sound. Let's take a look at that first section here, starting off on the notes E, F sharp, and G on our B string. We're just going to walk up those 3 notes 4 times in a row. That's one of the fretting patterns that we're going to use. After this, we're going to go down to D sharp, E, and F sharp, kind of dipping into that harmonic minor scale there to match the D sharp that's on our B7 chord. And we're going to use this other fretting pattern. Check this out. So you can see of those 3 notes, I played the lowest note, the highest note, then I walked down, then I walked up. Low, high, walk, down, walk, up. So it feels like a 6-note phrase. Play that 2 times. So now you have. After this, you're going to take that fingering pattern that you've got and just jump up a minor third here to F sharp, G, and A, and use the first fingering pattern. Just walking up straight 4 times. Then you're going to go back to your first cluster of notes, E, F sharp, and G, and play it with the second fingering pattern. After this, the chord changes to A minor, and we're going to drop down here and play A, B, C straight up 4 times. Then go down to G, A, and B on that high E string and play the second pattern. And then go back to your B string to play this figure. So that was the D sharp, E, F sharp 2 times, F sharp, G, A 2 times. And then we're going to end this by playing down this E minor arpeggio. E, B, G. And that's the entire first section of the etude. Let's check it out again. You're going to repeat all that stuff again before we go to the second section of this, which starts off on A minor. Now the way that I phrase this here, I'm going to jump up the B string here to the 10th position so I can play up A, B, C 4 times in a row. After this, we're going to keep going down the scale here with the G, A, and B notes with the second fingering pattern. Keep going down the scale here, F sharp, G, and A straight up. And then down here, E, F sharp, G with the other pattern. So just walking straight down the scale, going between the 2 patterns. After this, we're going to repeat the first 2 parts over the A minor and E minor chords. Now this is where that F sharp 7 comes up, and we're going to react to that by playing straight up F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. Again, a whole lot of out of scale, but it matches the chord. And then take that fingering pattern and drop down here onto the high E string. That way you can play the second pattern on B, D sharp, and B, C sharp, D sharp. That way you can play against the B7 chord. And again, I repeat that second section another time, so it sounds something like this. And then the last section here is exactly like the first thing that we played, just up an entire octave. We're going to start off here on E, F sharp, and G on the high E string, 12th position. Going down to the D sharp, F sharp, and E part. Go up a minor third. Back to your starting notes. After this, jump up that string to A, B, C. G, A, B. And then here at the very end, what I'm going to do is to go to the B string just to play the D sharp, E, F sharp part. But then jump back to the high E string to play the F sharp, G, A part. Okay? And then we're going to play down this long E minor arpeggio. E, B, G, E, B, G, E. Okay, so the entire etude, all three sections, well, it's really two sections, but with the octave up there for the last one, it's going to sound something like this. Check it out one more time. So now that you know how to play it, let's talk about getting it up to speed. I recommend using the practice tracks that I put up on my Patreon page as well as the MIDI files. That way you can slowly increase the tempo as you progress with this thing. I played it at the start of this video at 100 BPM, and I'm playing this all as sextuplets, which means that we're cramming 6 notes into every single beat. Now, if you're practicing this with your metronome at home, I recommend doing this the exact same way. Like if I put my metronome here at 60 BPM, one of the best ways to learn how to feel that sextuplet kind of rhythm is just to say the word triplet twice in between every beat. Triplet, 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 right? That's a good way to kind of feel it out. Before you just jump in and start practicing the licks, I recommend first just kind of muting the string and enunciating that triplet, triplet thing and getting the pick moving with the click like this. Triplet, 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 triplet. I really recommend doing this. Jumping onto a metronome is kind of like trying to hop onto like a moving merry-go-round. You want to get a running start and get in sync with it before you hop on, right? So I recommend kind of doing that, getting the picking in tune with the metronome, then start trying to put the notes on top of it. Now with every one of these phrases, I recommend really leaning into that first downstroke that happens on every note. Really try to bury the metronome whenever you play that first note. You can hear I'm really leaning into the note that lands on the downbeat. It's just going to help you really synchronize everything with both hands and learn these phrases as one solid chunk of 6 notes. And Those are really valuable phrases to learn. Those sextuplet patterns, I use them all the time in my playing, and this is a great way to learn those and make them part of your permanent muscle memory. If you're new to playing faster stuff or just want to increase your picking speed overall, I recommend trying to practice this really slowly with this picking technique that I learned from the amazing Rick Graham, who is just a phenomenal player. You can find him all over Instagram and YouTube and all that jazz. Incredible player. But he had a recommendation for shortening your pick stroke up that really rang true with me, and I practiced it hardcore for a while and it really did make a difference. Here's a basic idea. I call it the old sticky picky. The way that Rick kind of put it is to, you know, go through the string with your pick stroke and then immediately try to stick to the other side of the string. So in other words, I'm going through with my down and then just trying to stick to it with the up. Then I'll go through with my up and immediately try to stick to the string with my downstroke. So I'm constantly kind of like playing and choking the string out, right? Sounds something like this. It'll sound really choppy whenever you play it slow. You can hear how the note is getting choked out every single time by the old sticky picky action. This is a really great way to shorten up that pick stroke. If you feel like your pick strokes are too big and they're slowing you down, practice it like this. I swear it'll make a huge difference. Now, one thing I want to point out about the left hand here is about the first finger, because I know somebody's going to ask this question, and the answer is really kind of depends on whatever you like to do. Okay, the question I'm talking about here is whether to latch the first finger on and off or just to leave it set down. The first finger is always going to be kind of the reference finger here. It's always the lowest note in every pattern. I know a lot of players that would like to just set it and forget it Ron Popeil style and just hold it down in one position the whole time, like this. If that works for you, go for it. I find for myself, I like to have one action here corresponding with every action here. So in other words, whenever I play this, you'll notice I'm constantly lifting my first finger up and putting it back down whenever it's time to play that note over here, right? There's something about putting an action in both hands that corresponds with each other that, for me anyway, helps keep everything really in sync. Whereas if the first finger is just holding down, it's kind of like inaction in this hand and action in this hand. Then action, action, inaction, action, action, inaction. That kind of throws me off, especially kind of more like medium tempos. I'm much better off if I'm kind of synchronizing both hands with an action happening in every hand. Again, your mileage may vary. It's worth trying out both ways and seeing what works better for you. I know for sure there's certain tempos where I'll stop doing that and I'll just hold the finger down because there's not time to lift it and set it down and all that jazz. Like if I was playing it at that tempo, I would probably just start latching that finger down and hanging on for dear life. But anything where I'm playing at a more controlled speed, I like to lift and latch. Let me know in the comments section which one works better for you. Now also for the picking hand, this is a real endurance test. It's just those non-stop sextuplets the entire time, other than those few short breaks when we play the E minor and stuff in there. What I want you to be really conscious of is whenever you're done playing this, or whenever you're playing one of the parts with little rests in it, I want you to be really conscious of what you feel relax. Is it your toes unclenching, right? Is it your pick loosening up here in your hands? Is it something in your neck or your shoulders that suddenly relaxes? I want you to pay really close attention to that, because whenever you feel something relax, it means that it was tense while you were playing. A lot of times whenever we're playing something that's long and intense like this, that tension can start building up and you don't even notice it. It's like a frog in a pot, right? But whenever you stop playing and you feel something let loose, I want you to be really conscious of it and ask yourself, was that muscle tensed up for a reason? Did I need to be holding that muscle tight in order to play this rockin' etude? For myself back in the day, I always used to tense up back here at the back of the elbow. I'd stop playing and just feel this sudden surge of relief back here, and then I'd almost have to like manually straighten my arm back out after a long playing session. After I figured out that I didn't actually need to be tensing that muscle up and I learned how to relax it while I was playing, it really made a huge difference in my playing and endurance. And this will change over the years too. I've noticed for myself lately, whenever I'm playing really intense stuff for a long time, my new thing is that this shoulder tends to kind of lurch forward on me like this and tense up. That's something that I'm working on right now because I don't need to be doing this in order to play guitar. And I started noticing that I was doing this because whenever I would stop playing, I would relax and breathe and put that shoulder back where it's supposed to be. So be really conscious of your body, you know, everything from your toes to your ears whenever you're playing this stuff, and try to take stock of whatever was tense and learn how to keep it relaxed while you're playing long, shreddy stuff like this. So there you go, guys, a neoclassical etude in the style of Uli John Roth, Richie Blackmore, Yin Yang Milkshake. Insert your favorite shredder here. It's a lot more fun and musically interesting than practicing up and down the same old scale patterns or exercises, so hopefully you guys get some mileage out of that one and it improves your alternate picking skills. Speaking of those guys, I've been dying to go over some Uli stuff here lately. Like finally break down that Charon solo, or man, any of his stuff. He's got so many cool solos. Let me know in the comment section below who your favorite neoclassical shredder is and what solo you'd like to learn on a future installment of Weekend Wankshop. Thank you guys as always for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for new content coming at you every single week, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. If you like what you see here and want to get even more out of it, be sure to sign up today to that Patreon page at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. You're going to get the tab to go along with this, as well as those dead handy practice tracks to turn you into a more better shredder today. Well guys, it's been fun as always, but now I recommend getting away from the computer and go grabbing that guitar and getting to work. Let's click it. More picking.